Are we honestly doing this? Fleet Commander Zerk leaned back in his seat, mandibles twitching with irritation. There are countless barren moons in this quadrant alone, and you picked the one circling a inhabited planet weapons officer. Plex wiggled, her antenna with excitement. But sir, look at it. It's so smooth and gray and lifeless. It's the ideal target. Zerks glared at the monitor where the Earth's moon hovered in the cosmic void. The Dominion's 47th weapons testing fleet had wandered into this forgotten solar system seeking a test subject for their brand new long-range devastator cannon. Usual protocol demanded dead moons in unoccupied systems. But Plex had become oddly obsessed with this one solitary satellite. The locals call it moon, said Science Officer Grenell, brightly, quite literal, really. They're known as humans and are just as unsophisticated as the name implies. 3 spacefaring barely set foot on their own satellite some of their centuries ago and haven't returned since. See, they don't even care. Plex gestured at the screen with her upper arms. They went once and never came back. Zerks rubbed the bridge between his segmented eyes. That's not how satellites work, Plex. They didn't abandon it. It's gravitationally attached to their world. Whatever. Listen, Commander, we've spent 16 cycles blowing up empty rocks. Don't you want to see what happens when we blast something a primitive culture might actually notice? Just think of their reactions. Plex's mandibles parted in a grint that directly violates Dominion protocol. Zerk stated flatly, we are forbidden from interfering with undeveloped civilizations, but it wouldn't be interference. Luplex argued we'd just be lightly reconfiguring their orbit from a very safe distance. They won't even think aliens are involved. They'll blame it on what do they call it? A god or freak weather? A moon-level detonation would not resemble a weather pattern? Grenell muttered dryly. Guys, the navigator. Krill spun around in his seat. I've been tapping into their broadcasts. These humans make fiction where stuff like this happens all the time. They create stories about aliens destroying the moon or blowing up their own planet. They'd totally think it was fiction. Come to life. Zerks narrowed all 4 eyes. You've been watching their media. That's against code. Krill shrugged his ridged shoulders. They beam it freely into space. I didn't hack anything. It's just there floating around. And anyway, they call it science fiction. They imagine alien events badly. But the point is, if their moon explodes, they'll just assume it's a movie scenario come true. That's the dumbest defense. I've heard. Zerks grunted. Commander, it's only a tiny crater. Tactical Officer Vaz spoke up from her station, perhaps a small demonstration. We could just take a tiny chunk out of their moon, not enough to cause any catastrophic effects to their planet, but enough to, see what happens. Zerks glared at his bridge crew, were all of them going insane. Have you all forgotten basic training? Rule number 1, don't mess with inhabited worlds. Technically, Plex raised a finger. We wouldn't be messing with their world, just their moon. Their satellite is part of their system. Zerk shouted, losing his patience. Sir, Communications Officer Dreb interrupted. High Command has been asking for more impressive test footage for the quarterly report. Our last 6 tests were on uninhabited asteroids. And well, you know how boring those recordings were, Admiral Zlovak specifically said, and I quote, and find something that will make the budget committee remember why they funded this project. Zerk stared at the ceiling of the bridge, contemplating how his promising military career had led him to this moment. So you are suggesting we risk interstellar incident to impress the budget committee? When you put it that way, sir, yes, Dreb replied without hesitation. What if? Plex said, leaning forward eagerly. We just graze the surface, one small crater. The humans have plenty of those already. They won't even notice one. Morg Zerks looked around at his crew. Their eager expressions made it clear he was fighting a losing battle, and truthfully, after 16 boring cycles of shooting at lifeless rocks, even he was tempted by the idea of a more interesting target. Fine, he finally conceded, 1 shot at minimum power. We will create 1 small crater recorded for the budget committee and then leave this system immediately. Understood. The bridge erupted in cheers, recalculating optimal firing position. Vaz announced, her claws flying over her console, powering up the devastator cannon. Plex added with undisguised glee. "This is such a bad idea," Zare muttered. Sir Randall said, "I feel obligated to remind you that this moon is actually quite important to the planet's ecosystem. It controls their tide, stabilizes their axial tilt. We are not destroying it." Grenell Zerx interrupted. "We are making one small crater. The humans have crashed probes into their moon before. This should be no different if you say so." Commander Grenell muttered uneasily. "Target locked." Vaz confirmed. "Devastator cannon charged at base setting. Document everything." Xerix instructed. "Central Authority demanded footage. They'll have it recording live." Dreb acknowledged. Xerix inhaled sharply. Fireplex struck the firing pad with excessive zeal. The cruiser thrummed as the Devastator cannon emitted a sharp burst of energy aimed at the lunar terrain. The bridge fell still as the beam slid across the void. It took minutes to arrive, and when it did, the effect was underwhelming. "That's it," Plex complained, watching a wisp of lunar dust puff up from the surface. "That's barely a dent." "The devastating shot." "That's because we used minimum settings as instructed." Vaz noted. "The budget board won't like that," Dreb exclaimed. Xerix felt a migraine coming. "Fine, the test is complete. Let's exit this system before." Sir Grenell cut in, staring at his readout in mounting alarm. "I'm picking up strange energy signatures from the planet." "What kind of signatures?" Xerix demanded. "Snapping upright, multiple high-output energy spikes activating," Gindel said, voice tightening. "They're locked onto our position. That's absurd." Zare barked. "They're not even spacefaring. They shouldn't have sensors capable of spotting us from this range, let alone weapons that can touch us." "Nonetheless," Grenell said urgently, "they're definitely tracking us and firing." The vessel jolted hard as something slammed into their shields holding at 82%. Vaz shouted, "Whatever that was, it hit like a meteor. Evasive protocols." Xerix snapped. "Krill, get us clear, working on it." Sir Krill responded, fingers flying across nav controls. More launches incoming. The ship shook again under a second hit shields. Now 63%. Vaz called, "These are not low-tech weapons. How is this happening?" Xerx demanded, spinning to face Grenell. "Your files said they were non-interstellar." "They are!" Grenell cried frantically, cross-checking sensor logs. "That's what every briefing said. No deep space colonies, no jump tech, no—" "Apparently yes, to orbital defense." Xerix roared. Another blast struck home shields down to 41%. Vaz bellowed. "Sir, we must retaliate or flee. Now we will not fire on a populated world." Xerx growled. "Krill, full burn Geetus out of weapons range," Sir Krill said with tension. "I'm detecting numerous smaller vessels launching from the planet's surface. They're heading straight for us." The view screen flickered to show several streamlined ships climbing through Earth's sky. "Those don't look low-tech." Plex noted her earlier excitement now replaced with concern. Sir Dreb said, clearly shaken, "We're getting—" "A transmission from the surface open channel," Xerix ordered. The screen shifted again, revealing a human face. The being had only 2 eyes, no mandibles, and wore a full environmental suit. "Attention, unidentified extraterrestrial craft." The human said, voice unsettlingly composed, "This is General Amara Taylor with Earth Defense Force. You have executed a hostile act against Earth by attacking our moon. Deactivate all weapon systems and prepare for boarding, or we will escalate with matching force." The bridge went dead silent. Did that underdeveloped being just say they're going to board us? Plex finally asked in disbelief. Another blast struck harder than the rest shields. At 22%, Vaz yelled. Sir Krill stammered, panic rising in his voice. "Those incoming ships are accelerating faster than initial scans projected contact in 40 seconds. Xerix locked eyes with the human on screen. "This is Fleet Commander Xerix of the Galactic Dominion's 47th Weapons Testing Squadron. We were performing a standard weapons calibration and meant no hostility toward your species. We are departing your territory immediately." The human's expression stayed neutral. "You discharged a weapon against our moon without consent, Earth's surprising response, or dialogue. That qualifies as an act of war under any interstellar doctrine. Deactivate your weapons at once." Sir Vaz cut in. Their weapon arrays are powering up again. Stronger energy levels this time. Krill full speed. Xerx barked. The cruiser jolted as engines roared to life, shoving them from Earth's orbit. Several officers tumbled from their posts. Sir, those ships are still closing. The gap, Krill reported, stunned. Their engine output surpasses known specs by wide margins. Show, is this even happening? Xerx, shouted Grenell answers. Now Gindel scrambled through diagnostics. Sir, the humans appear to have concealed their tech development. Our last deep scan of this system was over 50 of their years ago. Their advancements since then are considerable. They were faking it. Dreb muttered. Faking what? Xerx snapped. It's a human phrase, acting weaker than you are to fool your opponent. Another volley slammed into them. This one far more devastating than the last. The lights flickered and terminals burst into flames, shields collapsing. Vaz yelled breaches on levels 3 through 7, emergency fields engaged. But our weapon systems are down, sir, Krill cried, voice cracking. The Earth ships have surrounded us. We are boxed in. The view screen displayed the human craft in a perfect containment pattern, weapons locked from every angle. The general. Earth has indeed maintained what we call a low-profiling galactic affairs. Our first detections of non-Earth vessels in our system occurred nearly a century ago. Since then, we have observed dozens of different species conducting flybys from remote surveys and even a few atmospheric intrusions. Yet you never announced yourselves to the galactic community. Gindel noted. Would you? Taylor asked. We monitored your communications, learned your languages, studied your political structures. What we found wasn't exactly encouraging. The Dominion is a peaceful coalition of Xerx. Began the Dominion. Kendall interrupted. Has annexed 12 formerly independent systems in the last 20 years alone. Your peaceful coalition has a habit of absorbing any civilization it deems useful and sidelining those it doesn't. Xerx fell silent. The human wasn't wrong. So we waited, Kendall continued. Watched, built up our defenses, established contact with a few more ethical spacefaring civilizations who shared our concerns about Dominion expansion. This revelation hit Xerx like a physical blow. Not only had humans been aware of the galactic community, but they'd been forming alliances behind the Dominion's back. This is unprecedented. He managed. The Dominion Council must be informed immediately that Earth is what? The human's secret. Commander Taylor asked sharply. A threat, a potential conquest, a problem to be solved, a level 7 civilization, at minimum. Xerx replied carefully, one that should be approached with diplomatic protocols, not weapons testing. Kendall's mild without humor. How convenient that you have revised your assessment. Now that you are at our mercy, what do you intend to do with us? Plex asked, finally voicing the question. They'd all been wondering that. Depends, Kendall said, sitting back down. We have several options before us. Detention until a formal Dominion representative can retrieve you, trial under Earth laws for unprovoked attack on our celestial property, or Xerx prompted when Kendall paused. Or a demonstration. Taylor finished, to ensure the Dominion understands exactly who they are dealing with. A chill ran down Xerx's spine. What kind of demonstration? Kendall pressed a button on the table. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room showing a star system. X recognized immediately. That's the Moria system. He said, the Dominion's primary military headquarters. Yes, Kendall agreed. And that he pointed to a small moon orbiting the 4th planet, is Dronox, the satellite housing, the Dominion's weapons development division. Where your little toy was created, I believe. Xerx's hearts began racing. What are you planning? Taylor stepped forward. We thought it would be fitting to return the favor, Commander, to demonstrate our own weapons capabilities on a target of similar significance too. You as our moon is to us. You can't be serious. Xerx gasped. Dronox houses over 10,000 Dominion personnel, all of whom will be evacuated well in advance. Kendall assured him, we are not monsters, Commander. Unlike some species, we don't test weapons where they might harm sentient beings, but destroying Danax would be an act of war. Plex exclaimed the Dominion would respond with full military force, would they? Taylor asked, raising an eyebrow once they see what our weapons can do from a distance of over 30 light years. Zerk stared at her in shock. 30 light years. You are claiming to have weapons that can strike with precision from 30 light years away. We don't claim anything, Commander Kendall said. Calmly would demonstrate. He pressed another button, and the hologram shifted to show a real-time view of Danox. The small moon rotated peacefully, unaware it was being discussed as a target for destruction. Council members, Kendall addressed the room. The vote stands at 7 in favor, 5 opposed per our protocols. General Taylor has operational authority. If the vote carries, the final decision is hers. All eyes turned to Taylor, who stood silently considering the hologram. This is madness, Zerx whispered. Even if you have such weapons, using them would only escalate conflict. The Dominion would never rest until what? Commander Taylor interrupted, until they found a way to neutralize a species capable of destroying a moon from 30 light years away, or until they decided that perhaps diplomatic relations were preferable to confrontation. She turned to face the alien directly. That's the question, isn't it? Which path would your leaders choose when faced with a civilization they can't simply overpower? The room fell silent as Taylor circled the hologram, studying Dronox from all angles. Finally, she stopped and looked directly at Zerk's commander. If our positions were reversed, what would the Dominion do? Zerx wanted to lie to claim the Dominion would seek peaceful resolution. But he knew the truth, and somehow he knew that Taylor would see through any deception. The Dominion would demonstrate its power. He admitted to establish dominance in the relationship. Taylor nodded, seeming almost disappointed by his honesty. And that is precisely why we need to diplomatic negotiations. Respond decisively, not because we wish for conflict, but because it's the only language the Dominion respects. She turned to Kendall. Prepare the gravitational lance for firing. Target Dronox, full evacuation warnings to be transmitted on all Dominion frequencies 30 Earth hours before firing. Wait, Zerx pleaded. There must be another way. Let me contact the Dominion Council. Explain the situation. I can convince them that diplomatic recognition of Earth as a sovereign power is the correct path forward. Taylor studied him for a long moment. And why should we trust you? Commander, you who fired upon our moon without provocation? Because I have seen what you are capable of. Zerx replied, honestly, and I don't want a war between our peoples. Taylor exchanged looks with Kendall, some unspoken communication, passing between them very well. She finally said, You have 12 hours to draft a message to your council. Make it convincing, Commander. The fate of Danox depends on it. The aliens were escorted to secured quarters where they were provided with communication equipment compatible with Dominion technology. Zerx spent hours crafting his message, trying to convey the severity of the situation without causing panic. Do you think they will listen? Plex asked. Azerx finalized the transmission they have. To Zerx replied grimly, You saw what these humans can do if the council provokes them further. The door to their quarters slid open, and Taylor entered with 2 guards. It's time, Commander. Your message has been transmitted along with our own diplomatic package to your council. And now Zerx asked. Now we wait, but not for long. We have accelerated the transmission using our quantum communication network. Your council should receive it within minutes. Despite the distance, that's impossible. Grenla blurted, even the Dominion hasn't perfected instant interstellar communication. Taylor just smiled. There's a lot the Dominion hasn't perfected. Dr. 3 hours later, they were summoned back to the council chamber. The holographic display now showed a split view, Dronox on one side, and a live feed of the Dominion High Council on the other. Supreme Counselor Vrax Zerx bowed respectfully to the imposing figure at the center of the Dominion feed. Thank you for responding so quickly, Commander Zerx. The Supreme Counselor's voice was cold. Your message was most disturbing. These humans claim to have captured you and your vessel after you violated their territory. It's true, Supreme Counselor, we fired up on Earth's moon during weapons testing, believing the humans were pre-interstar. We were mistaken. So it seems Brack replied dryly, they have presented us with some rather extraordinary demands. Kendall stepped forward. Not demands, Counselor, prerequisites for peaceful relations between our civilizations. Recognition of Earth as a sovereign power exempt from dominion expansion, Earth's demonstration, non-aggression treaties, trade agreements on equal footing. Vra recited the list with thinly veiled disdain, and all this under threat of demonstrating weapons capable of destroying Dronox from your own system. Forgive me if I remain skeptical of such capabilities. Your skepticism is noted, Taylor said, but unnecessary. We have already provided technical specifications of our gravitational lance to your military advisors. I'm sure they have confirmed its theoretical viability by now. A flicker of unease crossed Vax's face, confirming Taylor's words. Even so, the Supreme Counselor continued. The Dominion does not respond well to threats. We have evacuated Danox as requested, but I must warn you, any attack on Dominion property will be considered an act of war. Understand? Kendall replied calmly. But perhaps a small demonstration would help clarify our position before Vrax could respond. Kendall nodded to Taylor. She pressed a sequence into her wrist device. The hologram of Danox suddenly showed a pinpoint of light appearing on its surface. The light expanded. Then, a visible wave seemed to ripple through the small moon tracks appeared along its surface, spreading like lightning across the entire satellite. What are you doing? Vere demanded. Alarmed minimum power demonstration, Taylor replied. Targeted gravitational disruption of your moon score structural integrity. Don't worry, we have calibrated it precisely. Dronox will remain intact mostly as she spoke. The cracks on Danox stabilized, leaving the moon scarred but whole. That was approximately 1% of the weapons. Capacity. Taylor continued enough to render Danox uninhabitable, but not destroy it completely. Would you like to see what 5% can do? The Dominion Council erupted in panicked discussion with Vrax trying to maintain order. That won't be necessary. The Supreme Counselor finally said, his tone markedly different. Your point has been made. The Dominion is prepared to discuss diplomatic recognition of Earth. Excellent. Kendall smiled. And what about Commander Xerx and his crew? Their unprovoked attack on our moon cannot go unanswered. Rex's expression hardened. Their actions were unauthorized and reckless. The Dominion disavows their weapons test end.